The 3rd of July, Rabbi Furst,
First,
Havos Halavovos.
Fine, thank you. Zoom mentions Rabbi Shlomo first issue with Samanap. Thank you, and Shlaim care of Zoom. Our first year this morning, learning in Sefer Havos Halavovos, as we mentioned in Shar Heshbon and Hanefesh. This is we're in the middle of the 14th Heshbon Hanefesh, and the basis of this 14th of 30 spiritual accountings that a person should be taking for himself is based on the fact that if a person is going to um, make an evaluation and look into his behavior, he has to be careful about a discrepancy between his behavior towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his behavior um, towards people that benefit him, right? That we've been discussing. The Havos Halavovos explains that there's a natural uh, affinity and friendship and desire to help and be loyal to a person that's helping you. If, as we said yesterday, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, right? People are naturally inclined to help people that help them, right? That's the way it works. And so a person has to realize how he behaves towards people and contrast that in terms how he behaves towards a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that his attitude towards, so to speak, being loyal towards the Kadosh Baruch Hu and fulfilling the mitzvahs, the commands of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, should be no less enthusiastic and truthful as it is with a person who they have received benefits from. And if that's the case with a person who really is limited in what he can do for him and limited in his um, abilities, so our desire to be loyal and enthusiastic for serving God's Baruch is being so much more greater when we realize all the things Hashem has done for us and is able to do for us. Okay, so with that, um, let's pick up where should we leave off? I believe right. Okay. See, I think we finished that middle paragraph. Was Shlomo Inyan, right? Let me show you those. Yeah, so we'll start Haketz, Achi. It says over there, Haketz. Haketz means to awaken, wake up.
Haketz Achi, wake up, my brother. Min ha-shina hazos, from this sleep, vigol ma'al levcha es masach yitzircha. What is goal? Vigol.
Vigol meaning like sort of like to cast off from upon your heart.
And cast off from upon your heart. And what is mascha?
Masach is a veil, the veil of your Yetzer.
The veil of your inclination or your desire.
Right.
Asher nisach alecha al she hivdalim shehivdil bein cha ubein or shekula shekolcha.
That's sichlecha, your intelligence.
Sichlecha. So let's see. Wake up and cast off the veil that is veiling you until that you make a separation,
Yeah, what makes a barrier? It makes a barrier.
a barrier
Right.
that makes a barrier between you and uh, the light of your intelligence.
Right. Meaning the the ability of the Yetzer Hara and basically excuse me, basically the Yetzer Hara is that which the inclination that we have towards physical physical pleasures, right? So that inclination that we have creates a barrier between us and the light of our intelligence. The person who's going to act intelligently, right? So the ability for him to act intelligently is severely interfered with his level of desire for those pleasures of olam hazeh, physical desires, and the influence and the influence of that desire. Meaning, in other words, like this: when a person has desires for the physical pleasures of this world, which everybody has, and Hashem wants us to have those desires. If we wouldn't have a desire to eat, to drink, we'd probably starve and thirst to death, right? And if we wouldn't have desires for other things, which are necessities, so we would simply neglect the necessities of our physical existence. However, if we're not going to take a balanced approach for the fulfillment of those necessities through the ability that Torah gives us to have a balanced approach to the fulfillment of our physical necessities, so therefore, an imbalanced approach is going to corrupt our intelligence in terms of functioning properly towards our fulfillment of our obligations to a Kadosh Baruch.
Vish asher yareg al maor habayis. I don't know.
Akavish is a spider. He's he's bringing a mushel now.
It's like a spider. And what is this word? Yarag?
That Asher Yaharag al Muor Habayis, that a spider which weaves its web over the light coming into a house, so like a window coming into a house.
Ah. Uke asher yitamid, and that it's continuous.
That right, that when it's going to be done continually, meaning what, if for example, using the example, if a spider comes along and puts one little thread of its web across a window, so that's nothing at all, right? But
Right.
if it's going to continually be doing that, it's going to continually weave and weave and weave and weave and weave continually, then
Ya'ava v'yos tam ad sheyamna sheyimna hagaas or ha shemesh al habais.
Right.
So he
So
continuously weaves. Go ahead.
Ya'ava, it becomes thick. The web becomes thick. The
Uh,
yistone, and it covers the window up.
it covers the window up, and the light uh, of the sun is blocked.
Yes, very good, right? From
Uvi,
coming into the house.
right. Uvis chalta rig so hu chalosh vidak al ad maod. Um, what is this word? Vis chilas.
Right, but like at the beginning, harigaso, at the beginning, the web, hu cholosh v'dak ad ma'od. At the beginning, the web is weak and thin, very thin and weak. Right? At the beginning there's nothing there, right? That's
Right.
how it starts out.
Just a single thread.
Right,
Can't even see it. B'chol asher
right.
yitamid hadavar, uh, and all that uh, that is a continuous thing.
Right. So now, v'chol asher yasmi ladavar, and the whole time that it's going to be repeated, the whole time it's going to be continually repeated.
Yachzak v'yava v'yamina or ha-shemesh may avar bo umehagia al habais, uh, and it strengthens. Uh,
Well, meaning the more it becomes continuous, as long as the more this thing becomes continuous, repeated, yaksik, it becomes stronger, v'yava, and becomes thicker. V'yimne or hashemish, and it prevents yimne, it prevents the light of the sun, ma'avrabo, to pass through it.
into the house.
Right.
V'chein me'asa hayitzar bil bilavavcha yiyeh besachilta enenu chalosh ma'od. And so the actions uh, Hayotzer is his desires.
Right, right, and likewise the 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 his behavior in fulfilling his desires.
The desires of his heart, uh, they are initially his eyes. What's chalosh?
They are they're weak, right? Um, that when the effect of the Yetzer on a person's heart at the beginning, it has a very weak effect, right?
Right.
Lo yimnecha meros hamitisos. It's not going to prevent you from seeing the truth. So at the beginning, when a person is going to embark upon a path of fulfilling his physical desires, at the beginning, it's going to be the influence upon a person's heart very, very little, and it's not going to interfere with his seeing the truth of things. That's all at the beginning.
Okay.
Right?
Low. Uh,
It's not going to prevent you from seeing the truth of things.
the im targish bo ba'ace hahi. What is targish?
That if he will be uh, sensitive to, if he will be sensitive to it at that time,
And if you be sensitive to it at that time, visag lahu me'al levavcha, and what is sag lahu?
right? That if he's going to at the very beginning, when he sees himself being influenced by the physical desire for physical things, physical pleasures, at the very beginning, when he sees himself being influenced by his desire for physical pleasures, if he's sensitive at that time, it'll be easy for him to cast it off from his heart at that time. It hasn't that desire for physical pleasures has not become so entrenched in his mind and his heart. At that time, then it's very easy to cast it away and remain with a pure and unbiased intelligence.
Yakol al lecha hadavar. Um, to cast off
This thing is
this thing upon him.
right. It's easy for him to cast this Yetzer Hara for physical desires and pleasures. It's easy for him to cast that off from his heart at that time.
De'im tikal bo v'sis alam mimenu, and if he fixes himself And what is sis alam?
Right, v'im takel, meaning if he'll be negligent and like ignore it.
And ignore it. Yachzik ma'asehu b'yimna, or shechlicha mimecha.
That's sichlecha mimcha.
Sichlecha.
Yaksik mas, yeah, right. Yaksik masehu v'yimne or sichlecha mimcha. So if he's going to ignore it and be negligent about this at that time when it's still very easy for him to cast it off, so Yaksik will become stronger. It'll become a stronger influence on his behavior, and will prevent and interfere yimneh, it'll interfere with the light of his intelligence, of your intelligence.
Oh, sichlecha mimecha is your intelligence.
Right.
Vayiksha legalo so me'al hachartecha. I don't know what yiksha is.
That that Yiksha, now, meaning if he's going to ignore it and be negligent in casting it off at the very beginning, when it's at that point very easy to do, and therefore it's going to become strong and interfere with the proper way of thinking and his intelligence, Yiksha legaloso, it's going to become difficult to cast it off. Me'al hakarasecha, it'll be very difficult to cast it off from uh, your consciousness. It's going to take a very strong place now in your consciousness. People, as I mentioned at the very beginning when we started learning this Shar Heshbon and Nefesh, really what these 30 Heshbon and Nefeshes are doing, they're really training us to think in various different ways. And as I mentioned at the very beginning there, it's like everyone's thinking, everyone's using their minds, just like everyone's breathing, right? But there's a big difference, as I mentioned, between a person who's a professional, let's say he's a sports professional or a singer. So the way a singer breathes and the way a professional sportsman breathes, they've been trained because of the necessities of their professions to breathe in professional manners, right? So the same way with our thinking. Everyone's thinking, just like everyone breathes, but not everyone's a singer, not everyone's a professional sportsman. So the way that, again, the sportsman and the singer breathe is different than the way a layman breathes. Likewise, a proper thinking Jew has to think differently than most people think, because we have to be professional thinkers, so to speak. We have to train ourselves to think in particular specific ways, because that's part of our avodas habara. That's a part of our serving Kadosh Baruch Hu. So now the point that he's mentioning is as follows: the necessities for physical requirements of our body are there, but the desire that we should have for a pleasure and to seek the pleasure of those physical requirements of our bodies, that must be held in check. And if it's not going to be held in check, then that desire for physical pleasure is going to take a large part of our consciousness. And since it's going to be consuming our consciousness, that's going to interfere with the proper use of our intelligence. Our intelligence will not be used properly, and that's going to interfere with all aspects of a person's life, not simply in our ruchnius, not just in our avodas Hashem and fulfillment of Kadosh Baruch Hu's mitzvahs. That's going to interfere with a person's basic happiness in life. He's going to be consumed by the constant barrage of the necessity of physical pleasure, and that's going to be at the forefront of his consciousness. That's what he's going to be thinking about constantly, day and night, and that's going to interfere with his basic trying to live a normal, decent life. I have a friend that Shalom is not with us anymore. I had a friend. He once met an Arab. Met an Arab here in Eretz Israel, here in Yerushalayim, most likely here in Yerushalayim. Met an Arab, and the Arab asked him. He says he wants to know about Jews. Wants to know about Jews. He said to himself, interesting. What's this Arab want to know about Jews for? So he asked him. He was a young fellow, maybe 17, 18 years old, a teenager. He said, "What are you interested in Jews about? What's your curiosity all about?" He said, everybody he has any contact with, they're always talking about women. This woman, that woman, that, this woman, that. They're always talking about women. He says, it's driving me crazy. They're always, all they do is talk day in, day and out about women. It's driving him crazy. He wants to have have rest. He wants to have rest. He has no rest. So he's thinking maybe if he comes and understands things from a Jewish perspective, maybe he'll have a little rest from all this idiocy. And so you see, even they, the non-Jews, the thinking ones amongst them, right? They admit and they understand the folly of being completely consumed by physical desires. So that's what we're talking about here. You have to spend time thinking about how much our thoughts and consciousness spent in the desire for physical pleasures. Great, thank you. Okay.
Okay, let's see, where are we? I've lost my place. Al Cain, Mehar, Lehatzil es nafshecha, V'ha azar, Ba Elokim, Lid choso, Me alayich, V'tircha, V'hishtadel. Okay, what is this? Therefore, from this,
Maher means to be quick. Okay, therefore therefore be quick.
be quick. And what's the next word? Lahatzil.
Right, latzil es nafshik, to save yourself.
To save yourself. V'ha'ezer, and your friend.
Well, this is va'ezer be'elokim, and like maybe take refuge, or have help from a Kadosh Baruch Hu.
And have help from Hashem. Lide chuso me alayich. What is lide chuso?
Right, so to like literally to push it off from upon yourself.
To push it off from upon yourself.
And put forth efforts and endeavor to do this.
Ta'or be'or hachachama. What's ta'or?
Or you will be enlightened by the ore of wisdom.
You'll be enlightened by the light of wisdom. Utere im tas ha divarim ba'ayin levad levach. And you will see the truth of the matter with the eye of your heart.
Yeah, Ein Libcha, like the, yeah, right. That's what we would say with the mind's eye. That lave in the expression of not only many times in Tanakh, in Chazal, lave is or it corresponds with the mind. But Ein Libcha with the when you're in your mind's eye,
Your mind's in your
right?
mind's
So,
eye.
right. So Tor Ba'or Chachama, you'll be enlightened by the light of wisdom, and Tira, you'll see the truth of things in your mind's eye. Since a
Right.
person won't be influenced by the constant barrage of physical desires, so he'll therefore have a clarity of intelligence, and he'll be able to see the truth of things. This in a certain way goes back to even the Chet Adam Rishon, that eating from the Eitz Hadas, Toiv Ra, right? That again, he was told, the Kadosh Baruch Hu told Adam Rishon that he should eat from everything, but not eat from the Eitz Hadas, Toiv Ra, the tree of knowledge of what's good and what's bad. That what symbolically, what does that all mean? That not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and bad. So by eating from knowledge of good and bad, meaning if a person doesn't have any knowledge of good and bad, okay, what is it? He has no knowledge of good and bad. Everything is either true or not true. It's either emes or sheker. Emes or sheker. So something which is either truthful or something which is false. So obviously you pick clearly, obviously, that which is true, right? You don't want to pick something which is false, right? Misleading. So it's a very easy decision. Meaning if you have two, you have to choose between two mathematical statements. 2 and 2 is 4, and 2 and 2 is 5. So which one are you going to pick?
4.
2 and 2 is 4, right?
Right.
So that's obvious, right? 2 and 2 is 4, and it's true, and 2 and 2 is 5 is false. So that's obvious. There's no necessity for really even thinking about that so much, right?
Right.
Because that's a call between what is true and what is false. But what's good and bad, right? That's not so simple. Uh, you could say light is good and darkness is bad. So which of those true statements is true?
Light is good. Oh, but darkness is bad is also true.
I didn't.
They're both
So
true.
they're both true. So maybe they're both false. If they're both true, they can both be false, correct?
Yeah.
Logically speaking.
Yes, that can be true. I mean, that can be, yes, that can be true.
Well, so once you've incorporated good and bad, that's going to taint what is true and what is false, right? So before Adam Arishon ate from the Eitz Hadas Tov Ra, everything was either true or was false.
Right?
Everything was clear, true and false, true and false, true and false. It was easy for him to pick between 2 and 2 is 4 and 2 and 2 is 5. Whatever decision he had to make, it was easy as making a decision between 2 and 2 is 4 and 2 and 2 is 5. No, what they call it is a no-brainer, right? Absolutely, absolutely clear without any dispute. When he ate from the Eitz Hadas, so now there became incorporated into his processing a bias towards good and a bias towards bad, or a bias against bad. So now the question became not is 2 and 2 4, but maybe 2 and 2 is really 22. So now that decision is not so clear, is it?
No, not at all.
Right. So that's the interference of the physical desires with the intelligence of a person. When his intelligence is least affected by physical desires, so he's really choosing simply between sheker and emes, truth and falsehood. But as to the extent that the physical desires have been incorporated into his thought process, right? So it becomes less and less of a choice between truth and falsehood, and it becomes more of a choice between good and bad. And that's going to cloud the process of intelligence. That's basically what he's saying over here. Okay, let's see a little bit further. The last paragraph here.
Ukavar, uh, Mishalo, uh, Kida Moninu, uh, Ayin Hay, Maaseh,
That's Ava Shalom. Kvar Mashlu Kadmeni Ava Shalom, and they've already been made analogies. The previous generations, blessed they be.
of the deeds, Hayotzer, uh, the actions of our desires,
Right.
Badam, of a man, uh,
We're actually bit or in a man. I mean the effect. It's like the effect of the yates or the effect of the desires upon a person.
Umishalem, Nich Lakim, Min Hakatuv, and the completion. Uh, what's Nich Lakim?
That b'mashalim nechalkim mina kasuv, that on on various nechalkim, like various analogies from the pasuk. So based on Tanakh and also probably on the Gemaras as well. So you have various different um, analogies to this point.
Um, Ba'amru, as it said, Vayavo halach laish ha ashir. And a wealthy man goes.
Right, this is a pasuk. I think we should let's take a look at the pasuk inside. I believe it's a pasuk in Mishlei.
That's from Shmuel
Ah,
2, according to my
Shmuel.
book. Shmuel 2, chapter 12, pasuk 4. I have to go get it. I'll be right back.
Good. Let's take a look.
Okay, let's see. Shmuel 2, the second book of Shmuel. I didn't hear what he said. What was the pasuk in the verse?
Yeah, I'm looking it up myself. 1 second. Yeah, I believe it's Perek Yud Beis Pasuk Dalid.
Yud base 12. 12:4. And there came a traveler to the rich man. Oh, he traveled to the rich man. V'yavo halach, a traveler, leish ha'ashir, to a rich man. Mitechila karu halach, and he at first he was close to him.
At first he was called Halak, that he went. He was like on the move.
V'acher kach, and afterwards, karu or cha,
Or Orech.
orech. He
Was called a guest. Afterwards he was called a guest.
he was called a guest. V'acher kach karu ish, and afterwards he was called a man.
Right. If you look at the pasuk, right? Yeah, but there Yavo.
And the pasuk is a
Yavo.
little bit different. The pasuk says, "And there came a traveler to the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to prepare it for the wayfaring man that was come to him."
Right.
This sounds like the mashal that was told by the prophet to David HaMelech,
Right.
that the poor man is the husband of Bathsheba. Oh yeah, yeah. It says David's anger burned against that man, and he said to Natan, "As the Lord lives, the man that has done this is worthy to die." And Natan said to David, "You are that man."
Right. So if you look at the pasuk, so first he's called a Holek, like a sojourner,
Right.
and then he becomes an Areach, a guest, and finally he becomes an Ish, a person.
Oh, so this is not quoting the pasuk; it's describing the pasuk.
Yeah, that's right.
V'amar, And it says, Ashrei Ha'ish Asher Lo Halach V'Gomer. Happy is the man that does not travel, etc.
This is a pasuk. This is a pasuk in Tehillim. I think it's the very beginning of Tehillim. Now, be Tehillim there. I think it's the very beginning of Tehillim.
Oh, yeah, it's the very first pasuk.
Right.
Happy is the man that hath not walked in the counsel of the wicked,
Right.
nor stood in the way of sinners, nor sat in the seat of the scornful. Okay.
Right. First is called right. First is called halach, and then oimed, standing, and then afterwards sitting. So you see in both of these psukim, you see a progression.
Right.
It's a analogy to the Yetzer Hara that he gradually grows upon a person, and as he grows, he gets bigger and bigger and more entrenched.
Right. Right. So first he's walking, and he's just listening. Then he's standing, I guess, which means that he's becoming friendly with them, and then sitting,
Right.
he's actually participating.
Yeah, right. You see the progression.
Right. Right. Mitechila karu halach. Initially, he's close to traveling.
Or he's cold. He's cold. He's referred to as being travel.
Called a traveler. V'achar kach karu or oreach. And afterwards he's called a friend. V'achar kach karu ish. And afterwards he's called a man. V'amar ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach v'gomer. It says, happy is the man that is not a traveler, etc. V'achar kach amad, and afterwards he stood. V'achar kach yashav, and after that he sat. V'hadome lezeh harva. And
V'doimel is the harbe, and you have many other similar. I mean, these are just two examples of how we symbolically represent the Yetzer Hara as something being starting off as being very spurious, very non fixed, and as it grows and grows, it becomes more concrete, more fixed, and more entrenched.
then finally, chashev im nafshech. It dwells in his soul.
Well, you should you consider for yourself.
Consider for yourself, my brother, concerning this. V'hadome lo. What is hadome?
And things similar to it,
Similar to it. V'hachar cha.
V'hachreich osa right? Mahachreach osa al ma sheyesh bo hatzalsa.
Hatzalza. V'har chreach. What's v'har chreach?
That's to to force it. Alma sheshbo hatzalasa, and force it, meaning like force yourself to do what you need to save yourself.
Hatzalsa is to save yourself.
Right. Well, hatzalsa, right.
Ki kavar amar chachacham be mis al mayim me has his tacho, because afterwards the wise person says, I don't know, bemis al mayim.
That misalmim, a person who who ignores looking into this.
Anshe rea lo yavinu she mish shefat mishpat judgment. Let's see. So a person is wicked if he does not. What's yavino?
Right. So if a person's going to ignore, is responsible of looking into this, then it's the anshe ra yoyu, meaning people who are evil, they do not understand mishpat. People who are evil, they do not understand what is justice. That they lose the ability to make proper judgment. Mishpat is a proper judgment. So people who do not look into this to try and understand how to shake off the Yetzer Hara, well, they still have an opportunity to do so, and therefore it's going to affect their judgment and their intelligence. So therefore, these people who ignore this responsibility, they are considered anshe ra, evil people, and they do not understand proper judgment. Okay. Very good. Any questions on this? It's pretty clear, I think. Any questions?
No.
No, it seems pretty
Okay.
clear. If you immerse yourselves in the physical world, you become blinded. You've got to cast
Right.
off that physical attachment in order to be able to see clearly.
Exactly. Very good. Good. Okay, so that I think that completes this document. So that means I'm going to be busy, Bez Hashem, prepare another one for next time. Let's see, tomorrow's Erev Shabbos. So we'll do a little chumash tomorrow, and I'll put out another documents part between now and Yom Rishon, Bez Hashem. Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Lou.
Rabbi.
Very
Thank you for
good.
reading.
Kayak Lou, very nice.
Baruch T'yeh,
Very
Meir.
good.
See you in a
Okay.
few minutes.
Let's take a little break, and we'll
Okay.